But then we also look into the future. So we ask ourselves, what are the lasting changes that we will have to be dealing with post-COVID? So it's COVID inspired, but then we also want to look into the future. Two big recurring themes of the conference. And I think the way that you could summarize all of these challenges is one, access to quality education, which is something that will stay with us. And the COVID-19 pandemic has made that much more difficult, even especially in poorer parts of the world. And the other one is actually combining education technology with effective pedagogy.
Codifying and showcasing best practices is also maybe one of the things that is going to be tackled there. So once you have promising solutions that were developed in collaboration with academics and educators, how do you showcase them? How do you make sure that they are taken up on a regional level, on a national level, and then eventually even on an international level?
So again, we have these two big recurring themes, which is improving access to quality education, pay attention to vulnerable and marginalized learners who need our help the most right now, and think ahead and think about how we can harness education technology and combine it with effective pedagogy. And then we have 4 very strong partners who each came up with their own challenge. And the first one that Gelgia already mentioned is Schools 2030, who is working in 10 target countries and over the next 10 years wants to each year present 1,000 solutions, best practices that are evidence-based, that teachers can use to improve learning in their classroom. And the way they want to do that is by building a big platform for which they need innovation. So they are asking, how do we go about this? How do we create the platform? How do we make sure that the best practices that we are presenting on the platform and
get onto the platform,
but also make them accessible to everyone. But also, how do we make sure there's a quality vetting in this? So it's codified, it's verified, and then basically teachers can go look at the information and pick what they need and see whether it applies to their context. And then a second very exciting challenge comes from global school leaders, which is also exciting because we're not thinking about the children only, which is very important, but also about those who actually need to deliver the teaching. So the schools and the teachers. And global school leaders actually is starting from the insight that we know from existing research that if you provide school leaders with data about their learners, even just a little bit of data, so they can pick this up and use it in a way that they can increase or improve the learning outcomes in their school. And so during the pandemic, this is more difficult, right? Collecting data about your students is more challenging, especially if you are in a lower resource setting. And so they are asking, how can we make sure to get the data that school leaders need, the information that they need to improve the learning outcomes for the children in their schools.
So it's about giving them data so that they can empower school leaders and teachers to drive that change.
Yes.
Great.
And then we have the Global School Forum, who is looking into blended learning. So we've talked about this before. Blended learning is this mix of face-to-face interaction with online, interspersed with online learning, where kids can engage with the context at the pace that they themselves would like. And this can be a powerful tool that potentially can be taken to scale. So you can potentially reach a lot of learners, and you can be prepared for situations like a pandemic when you cannot always go to school. So the question is, how can we bring these blended learning tools to scale, and how do we know that it's working? And then we have MIT Solve, the fourth challenge, which is called Equitable Classrooms. And so they're asking the question, how can we harness technology to make sure that all learners have access to in the safe space, have access to quality education, and how can we provide equitable access to education. So especially in the US, we have seen that a lot of learners have fallen behind because they come from vulnerable backgrounds. So how can we make sure that
they don't have the same access, for example, to technology?
Exactly. So we need solutions that are also low tech and work in settings where people might not have broadband connectivity, might not have the technology.
For challenge partners with us, right? So we're not doing this by ourselves. I think it's also important to say that we have not, as a foundation, come up with these challenges by ourselves. We felt we need strong partners, and they need to co-develop these challenges and frame them together with us, so that we can just make sure that these challenges are really relevant to them. And these partners are what you might call school aggregators, at least some of them.
We've got Schools 2030,
Global School Leaders, the Global School Forum, and then MIT Solve.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
And I think what's really nice about this approach is that these challenge partners have taken on quite a strong role in framing these challenges, and they also bring like their own stakeholders with them, right? So among the Solver teams, you will certainly have players from Schools 2030 and Global Schools Forum and whatnot. But the beauty of it is that we said, in addition to the people that you bring with you, we want to create space and room for, again, social entrepreneurs and academics and other educators to chime in and be part of these Solver teams, so that you have like fresh perspectives and fresh thinking. Because if you just had your people working on your challenges, it's not really of an added value.
Impulse of ideas and research.
And then innovate together with them. And we really want to encourage them to keep working together post-conference. So we provide a financial reward to the winning solutions. We also provide them, partnering with MIT Solve again, post-conference, with the professional support they need to further develop their project, so they can submit their proposal to us within 5 months post-conference.
Wow. Okay, fast.
So there's a whole
fast
to keep the momentum going.
Yes, fantastic.
Yeah. So we are very lucky to have a judging panel of 12 independent experts who come from across the world, who are all experts in their field. And so we have an independent judging panel who will be selecting the winning solutions. And we also defined judging criteria that will be applied transparently and fairly to all the solutions that are submitted. And so we make sure we have experts judging these solutions independently.